All right, all right, all right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm James Oliver Jr., managing partner of Kabila Ventures, a new venture firm coming soon. Super excited about that. CEO of Kabila, which connects overlooked founders to capital, co founders, and community, husband to an amazing wife, and co founder of the world's cutest twins. All right, so I see you're out there listening. Just go ahead and drop in the comments and let us know where you're listening in from. We are streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So let us know where you're coming in from. Share this on your social media channels with your friends so they can join this important conversation. Also, as we get into this, please drop your questions in the comments, and we will do our best to get to all of them. All right. So let's see. Where are we here? So I once read an article that said that the optimal number of pivots is more than one, but less than two. And understanding how and why to pivot can actually be really hard for a lot of startups. So today, we're going to have a conversation to dig into this. And I have a special guest, a good friend of mine, Tamara Lucas, founder and CEO of My Panda, which is the personal assistant next door. Tamara is also a Techstars Atlanta alum. Welcome, Tamara. What's going on?
Hi, James. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. What's going on? What's going on? Good to see you.
You too. You too.
So look, we're gonna so I have a couple questions for you. So I have these questions here. I'm looking to the side because I can't remember the things. That's what happens when you have kids, just don't really remember
And
anything. So
don't
so
even
what
get me going about memory loss.
what is My Panda?
So, my Panda is an acronym. It stands for my personal assistant next door app. So, what we do is we strive to be the village of support for people that are super busy and have way too many expectations placed on them, which is pretty much all of us in America, but particularly women. um, we are the ones that take care of the house. We take care of the family for the most part. And so that tends to be our target market. And so we find people from the hyper-local community. So basically your neighbors that have a little bit of time and a desire to help. And there are pandas, our personal assistants next door. And then our users use our app and technology to submit requests for anything they have on their plate. They just need an extra set of hands to get help with, whether it's folding laundry, taking the dog to the vet, taking clothes to Goodwill, all those little things that just sort of add up.
Awesome. So what inspired you to actually pivot?
So we started off straight B2C, right? So when I started the company, it was basically because I needed help. I was a busy single mom. I knew a bunch of my friends in the neighborhood did. So we were just targeting individual people, like chipping away one by one and getting busy moms onto the platform. And it's been successful. I mean, we had, over 750 people have used us. We have, a amazing retention rate. And so it was great. But then we started to realize, we started really listening to our customers and also paying attention to the overall market. Really, COVID, I think, had a big impact on everything. And people started to have different needs when it came to balancing work and home. And there were different pain points that we started to recognize that employers were experiencing with their workers, struggling to get them back in the office, people stressed, burnt out, just way too much on a plate. And then we started to talk to our customers and we started to realize that they were telling us it was awesome. They love My Panda. They love having someone come in and empty their dishwasher. It's making their marriage better. It's making their kids happier. It's making them happier. But then they were also saying it's also allowing me to succeed more at work, right? I'm able to stay late at work occasionally. I'm able to focus some more. And so we really began to dig into that. And then that led us to pivoting to more this B2B2C employee benefits and perks world.
Awesome. So here's Anna. Love My Panda. Hey, Anna.
Hi,
Where you
Anna.
coming in from, Anna? You in Atlanta? Is Anna in Atlanta?
She's in Decatur.
Oh, you're so funny. Every time I say Atlanta, you say Decatur because Decatur is not Atlanta.
I
Got it.
mean, it's Metro Atlanta, but Decatur
It's
is.
Metro Atlanta. So I think what might be an interesting conversation for another time is, how if you have a two-sided marketplace product, how do you have a cold start? Like I read this really amazing book called The Cold Start Problem. a couple years
So
ago
good. That book is
called Andrew.
awesome.
I think it's by Andrew Chen, I think. But I
Mhm.
listened to that book like 3 times. But if you have a two-sided marketplace product, or you're thinking about launching a two-sided marketplace product, I think that's required reading. So I would
Absolutely.
love to have you come back another time and talk about how you went from 0 to 1, and because you have to have people who will do the chores, but then you need to have people who actually, like Anna, come on, from Decatur, where it's greater. Do people still say that? I don't know.
They do.
They do. All right, cool.
Jokingly.
Yeah, I'm old school Atlanta. I don't know what people say anymore, and I'm way too old, so I don't know. Okay, so cool. So that's why you decided to pivot. You're looking at what your employers were saying. Okay, so how important is it? Well, first of all, like, who helped you think through your pivot? Did you do all that by yourself?
So, no, you can never really do anything by yourself. We always lean on
Hmm.
on other people for everything, even though people think they might be independent and do it on their own. It takes a community. There was so a lot of the beginning thoughts kind of are being presented by different advisors and different mentors through my Techstars days. When I did Launchpad 2X, I remember talking to Christy Brown about this, like, years ago, just sort of thinking about it in different, um, Stephanie Diaz helped me with a lot of this. So it was just sort of like thinking about these different things with people. But then when we really decided to go in and dig in and start to execute, I was fortunate enough to be a part of the Hatchet Ventures portfolio. And that is actually thanks to you, James. You introduced me to them. Yep.
Yeah,
And they are amazing. So they've got basically, a whole 70 some advisors that you can tap into. And then the CEO, Dalton, really helps you with a lot of strategy.
yeah,
And so the Hatchet team really helped us sort of carve out the strategy, start to do some exploration into switching the ICP from being the busy working person slash woman to being a boss or a company looking to invest in and support their employees to improve productivity and
yeah.
reduce stress and all that. So I really leaned in on them, and we've been working as a team for the last, really, it's been 6 months. We've been kind of working on it. We just launched officially last week.
Yeah, dope. So yeah, I did connect you to Hatchet and Dalton. Those guys are great. I mean, I think I did one of these conversations with Dalton a while ago, but we, Kabeel is a Hatchet Ventures portfolio company, and so Hatchet Ventures is not a VC firm. I think people get confused about the name Ventures,
Yeah.
but it's a consortium of advisors who care about overlook founders, and it's just like having this whole network of advisory board members on your team that you can lean into to help you with whatever you have problems with, versus just having like one advisor on your cap table for whatever amount of equity you want to give them over time. It's just a way to leverage other people's expertise and get the help you need to help like supercharge your growth. And Kabila, so we're actually in the middle of a pivot too. I told you I'm launching Kabila Ventures. I just finished VC Labs, Venture Accelerator for new fund managers, which was amazing. And VC Lab was great because so they've launched over the last couple of years 50% of the world's new venture funds, and they're determined to use venture capital as a force for good. So we're sitting this fund on top of our business model, and in hopes of it unlocking everything else that we're doing. And I don't want to get into what we're doing right now because I've got to avoid general solicitation issues with the SEC. But we are launching a fund. We will be investing in. I guess I could put this banner up here. We'll be investing in founders in our community. So if you want to join our community, you can simply go to joinkabila.com/community. Tamara's a member of our community. We do cool things like this and other things. I'm actually, one of the things that I've done over the years that's been great is to pay for founder mental therapy. And I'm working on spinning up a fund with a fiscal sponsor to be able to provide therapy grants for founders again. So anyway, enough about that.
Well,
Um,
but real quick, I do want to say one thing on that, because that kind of leads into, like, you listen to your customers, right? And the people in your community who are your customers, they're like, we need money. Capital is the thing that we need. So you listen to them, and that's what helped drive your pivot. So it's a very
That's
similar thing, right?
no, 100%. Like if you look at
Mhm.
early stage founders, that's my space. I mean, I tend to focus and emphasize on work with overlooked founders, BIPOC, women, LGBTQIA plus founders. Like those are the people that I rock with, overlooked founders, and they're in that community. And the two things that they need the most are capital and customers. So, from a customer standpoint, we do sometimes have people pitch inside the community, do like a demo of their product to help them get customers. But, you know, how can we make impact at scale? And we need to raise a fund. So that's what we're doing, right? And we're going to be launching in Q1 of next year. That's the goal. We're on track for that. So
Okay.
if you're listening, if you have a question, like please drop your question in the comments. We would love to get to them. Uh, Tamara and I are both in Atlanta. Would love to know where you're coming in from. So yes, so this dovetails to my next question, which is how important is it to listen to the market and customers versus your gut? So how do you listen to your customers? How did you listen to your customers to determine you needed to make this pivot?
So, okay, there's a couple different parts to this. So my customers, I mean, I just try to interact with my customers a lot anyway. I'm fortunate enough too that I actually know personally some of the people that use it just because we are so hyper local. It just sort of like lends itself to just interacting with people because I run into them, right? I'll go to an event and I'll see people. They're like, "Oh my God, it was amazing! I used
Or at
your."
the farmers market, you go to get the cab farmers market.
I do, yes.
Of course you do. It's a
I
great farmers market.
I love to DeKalb Farmers Market.
Of course you
And by
do.
the way, we are the only service that can actually shop for people at DeKalb Farmers Market. You
Oh,
can't use
amazing.
Instacart or anything like that. It's actually one of
Okay.
our very popular requests. So just FYI,
Amazing.
for those of you that
Amazing, amazing,
don't
amazing.
like to brave the crowds there, you can put in a request with my panda.
You should get them as a
Um,
sponsor. Have you talked to them about that?
they're not into that sort of thing. Their business
Uh,
model is very unique.
I'll have Tyrone call them.
Yeah, I'm sure they love that.
People like have
Um,
Tyrone. No, we're not going down that rabbit hole. Anyway, you were saying.
You'll never get done in 30 minutes.
No.
Um, let's see, what did you ask me?
How you listen to
Listening
your
to customers.
customers? Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's just in having conversations. I mean, I'm immersed in this business, right? It's like it just like obsesses my brain. I think about it all the time. I'm always like, because everyone needs what we have, everyone
Yeah.
needs support, everyone needs help. And so it just comes up in conversation a lot. But really just being aware. And also when you said listening to your gut, not listening to your gut and listening to customers, I think listening to your gut to a certain degree is important.
Mhm.
However, I would almost argue it's like letting go of your brain and your preconceived notions of what you're doing. Because sometimes we're like, this is what I'm doing, this is how we're doing it, and you kind of have your game plan, and you're not willing to be flexible.
Mhm.
So it's sort of this thing, and I think your gut is very important because you do need to
Yeah.
listen to that.
Yeah, but you have to look at the data, right? So
You
this
have to
reminds
look at
me
the data, and
of
you have to listen to actually what people want,
yeah.
not what just you think that they want.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna do an episode of my podcast. I just got to cobble the content together. My Parents Making Profits podcast
Mhm.
about and ask the question like, are you in love with your solution or solving the problem?
Yes. I think that's a very, very valid point for all stages of running a business, but
Yeah.
particularly an early stage startup, because because you don't know. I mean, the nature of startups is it's something completely new and different, right?
Yeah.
You're creating a new thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you're just so rigid in what
Yeah.
you think your solution is, you're not really addressing the problem. And that's what the most important thing is. What's the problem that your customers have?
Yeah, it's like so. My friend Clarence Bethay, he's a VC over at True Ventures. He said he came because we also do these Tech Tuesdays founder happy hours here in Atlanta, and he was one of our first speakers. And he said, do you want to be right or do you want to win?
Yeah.
Like that
Well,
is the question, right?
it's totally the question.
That
And
is the question.
and that's like in anything, right? It's like relationships. I mean, it's just too hard to
Yeah,
try to insist that your way is the right way no matter what, and that's it.
man, it's just silly.
Because everyone's
So
human and everyone makes errors and doesn't
yeah,
necessarily interpret things the right way at first.
1,000%. So
Mhm.
so what are your thoughts about assessing the market from a macro perspective? I think you touched on this a little bit with respect to COVID, and how COVID changed the home work relationship and expectations of employees.
Yeah. So first of all, I think that COVID was such a mass trauma for everybody that I think that sometimes um, we don't necessarily acknowledge it. It's just like, okay, great, we got the vaccines, we can start getting back in person, like we're back to normal. But nothing when you go through a year or two of your life of a complete change in everything how you're doing things, you can't go back to the old way, that and that's particularly true for us, like when it came to the home and work interaction, right?
Mhm.
Like I'm sitting at my house, you're sitting at your house. My dog is likely to start howling any minute that a siren goes by. There's like things that just change, and people's priorities change, and that's because of a macro thing in the world, right? So if we have a massive recession or depression, or things get insane after the election, like, there's these things that happen that influence individuals, and so you really need to be able to be prepared. Again, it's like breaking out of your mindset and really stepping back and looking at everything from with clean eyes. Is like, what really is needed out here, because things are constantly changing, and things are changing so quickly right now
Yeah.
with new technologies, and it's
AI.
like this, oh my god, you can hardly keep up.
Yeah, 100%. So what are your thoughts about, the types of pivots from like shifting your ideal customer profile and, shifting messaging? Like, what are your thoughts about that?
So I mean, your messaging follows your ICP, right? So that's
Okay.
sort of like, I think that, so for us, it was just shifting basically who we're selling to. So our end product is still essentially the same, right? We did have like a small pivot, for example, talking about like different kinds of pivots and macro, right? When we first launched our app in September 2019, right? We were just like baby trying to figure it out. And then COVID happened less than 6 months later. And so we were going to people's houses, folding laundry, tidying up their kitchens, organizing their kids' closets. And then all of a sudden everyone's like, whoa, like we can't do anything.
You
So
can't come in my house.
yeah, right. We had to very quickly, we were like, okay, what everyone needs now is they need people to go to the store for them. They need other people that are comfortable, that maybe aren't, that maybe don't have small kids, or maybe aren't elderly, or aren't immunocompromised, to be able to go out into the community and do things. And then it actually helped keep the community safer. It was like, rather than having 10 people go to the store, we had one panda that was going to the store for 10 people, right? So it was like reducing, it was stepping back and really looking at what is happening in the world and how can we adjust to that. So there was a
Yeah.
lot of different things that we did, pivoting. It wasn't our ICP that changed, right? But it was just like our offering that changed, due to macro things, and also listening to our customers, and also listening to our pandas. Our pandas that started with us when COVID hit, most of them were like, I'm not comfortable going out. So we had to like restock our entire supply side of the marketplace with people that were comfortable. So it was like a
Yeah.
big tumultuous time.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's like,
But you said your
yeah.
ICP didn't change, but didn't it though? It's like instead of just the busy moms or busy women, it's now the corporations that even though
Well,
those
now,
are
right. So I'm
serving.
Yeah, now we're pivoting to the ICP. That was back in COVID. That was like,
Right, right,
we still were addressing the moms
okay,
that were at home trying to get
right,
stuff done around the house.
right. So how do you think about so I mean I think you said it, like, so your messaging will change to address the your ICP, but you're all still doing, you know, moms can still use the product, right, if they want to. It's
Mhm.
just you're focusing on, B to B2C, because presumably you feel like there's more leverage there, there's more money there. You can, spend the same amount of time and get, 10 times as many users on your platform versus the onesie twosies. Is that where you're doing that?
Yeah, it's a customer acquisition. It's all about customer acquisition.
Yeah.
Um, but also finding the the pain points for the companies, which are huge. Like return to office, really. That was the thing that kind of put me over the edge of like, okay, this is something that companies need help getting people back in the office. People are so used to being able to swap out their laundry or just take their dog out real
Oh,
quick.
that's
Like
a good
these are
point. Are you reaching out to those companies like Amazon and those companies like that are making people come back to the office? That's a
they're
great
too big
point.
for us right now. So right now, and this is also the thing of addressing where you're at also as a company,
Yeah.
right? We're only in Atlanta. So we don't have any venture backing. Like, we got a little bit of funding from a couple of things, but we don't have the money to go in and all of a sudden serve
To over
Amazon
scale up, like get
nationwide. Right,
$1 million and, like, you're moving it in 3 markets in the next, 9 to 12 months, right? That kind of thing.
right. We're but there's a lot of smaller companies that are trying to, like, marketing firms in town that have 20 employees that are just trying to get their people into the office so they can all collaborate more and
Hmm.
whatnot. So those are kind of the things we're focusing on right now.
Yeah.
And this is also like, it's stages. You got to see
Yeah.
what
So
you're able to
so
do.
as we're talking, I mean, this is just spitballing, which I hate it when people do this to me, so I apologize in advance.
It's
But
okay.
um, so something like that, like, would it be helpful if in Atlanta, for example, like the Chamber of Commerce would partner with you to help you reach out to the big corporations who have the people that they want to actually come back because they know probably who they want to come back in the office, who wants to have their employees come back in the office, like maybe. Anyway, it's just a rhetorical question. Anyways,
Yeah. So yes, totally. But again, I think right now it's like this is prioritizing and also focusing. Right
totally.
now, we
No,
also
yeah,
offer something that's unique for small and medium-sized businesses. It's
yeah.
a perk that the big corporations have a lot of perks and things. Like
Mhm.
we're in the employee perks offering for Google Atlanta, Microsoft, T-Mobile, um, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, all of
Yeah.
those big organizations. We're already partnered with them, and
Mhm.
all of their employees have a discount with us through their employee perks program, right? So
Right.
we already kind of have an in with them, but
Okay.
it's a little bit different because it isn't that B2B thing, right? It's still just like exposure and whatnot. B2B is actually getting the companies to invest money
Right, to pay
to
you to
provide
give
it,
them access
right?
to the thing.
Right.
Got it. So
And right now, it's like just being able to target and get, 50 small to medium sized companies in Atlanta, which is a really unique offering that we have that they can
yeah.
offer your people our premium
Yeah.
membership and 3 hours a month just to help out.
I
It's
love
very
that.
affordable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they can go to business.mypandaapp.com to learn more about what you're doing. So if you guys are listening out there, just please feel free to drop a comment if you have a question or just leave a comment. So if you're listening and you're in Atlanta and you work for a company that's of decent size, you think that they might want to have this as a benefit for their employees, like let them know. Send, go to my business, mypandaapp.com and check it out. Let them know about it. I think this is awesome. So so, how do you think about, maybe you answer this a little bit, but how do you think about taking an existing product, same product, but addressing the pain points of a different ICP? Like, what's your thought process around that?
Yeah. So our end product is still the same, right? We still have the person who's sitting there who opens up our app and puts in a request and asks for help, and then our pandas accept it when it works for them, and then they go ahead and um they are still working with that individual person. That is like the end product is still the same. It's really just how are we presenting it to different people to show how we can help. Our product is so helpful for so many people, and
Yeah,
it's adaptable and flexible. And this is the thing for okay, being a startup is hard, right? There's challenges like crazy.
oh boy.
We don't have money, we don't have resources, we don't have a team, we don't know what the hell we're doing. We're
Yeah,
like, trying to just solve a problem just by like using our own brain and thinking of solutions and trying to figure out how to do it with technology. Like
yeah,
it's hard, but the big thing, the big pro that we have is we are nimble and flexible, and we can do whatever it is that we want to do,
yeah,
right? So that really leaning into that, I think, is really
yeah,
important. So we can do many things for people. We don't have just set tasks that we can do, right? We can't
yeah.
drive kids, we can't do like handyman stuff, we can't do like electrical stuff, but like
Right.
for the most part, anything else in your house we can do, right? So that's
Yeah,
nimble. But then you look at what kind of offerings we can provide to our customers who are now companies and bosses,
yeah,
right? You can be a boss of a team of 3 and you can still find some way to use us. We've got like a
yeah,
90-day thing that can be as little as
mm,
$100 per employee per month,
yeah,
or it can get up to like,
yeah,
$500 per employee per month. So
yeah.
we can
So
switch it up however you
okay.
want.
So you actually addressed my next question, which, what's the benefit of being a startup in terms of being able to pivot? It's just simply you're small, you're nimble, you're agile. But something you said there about, how hard it is as a founder and, having to do all of that. So like once I launch Kabila Ventures, one of the things that I'm going to be most concerned with, yeah, you got to have your team and product and market, all that stuff, right? But my main thing is how resilient and persistent are you? There's a famous philosopher, Nietzsche, who
Yeah.
said, when you gaze into the abyss, eventually it will gaze back at you if you gaze into it long enough, right? And like
Yes.
I've stared into the abyss. I know you have. The abyss is staring back at me. I know it's staring back at you. Okay, once that happens, then what are you going to do? Right. So for me, as a VC, if the answer is you're just going to take your ball and go home and go back to AWS with your coding job after you just set a match to my money, that's not going to work. Right. So resilience and persistence are really, really important for founders. Any founder out there listening to that knows that. Drop an amen in the chat if you agree with that. All right, cool. So I think that's it, Tamara. I think we're friends. We've been friends for several years now, and I just have so much respect for you, and I'm so thankful to see what you're doing and the moves you're making. I'm glad that Dalton and the Hatchet Ventures team. You can go to hatchetventures.com to learn more about Hatchet Ventures. They bring on portfolio companies and like these cohorts or whatever. That's such an overused word, but yeah, cohort, these groups periodically. Focusing on overlooked founders. Folks can get in touch with you, Tamara at mypandaapp.com. They can go to business.mypandaapp.com if they work for a corporation and they're looking to provide this as a benefit, especially if they want to try to get people into the office more often. This is a way to make that an easier transition for their employees. It's a tremendous perk. And
mental wellness too is really a big thing.
yeah,
Relieving stress and burnout, and which is such a problem right now.
1,000%. So hopefully you're out there listening. This was helpful. I mean, as I mentioned, I'm raising a fund here. We're going to be investing in Founders Our Community. You can go to joinkabila.com/community and join our community. And you also get access to these conversations we have and these other cool things that we do from time to time. So that's us. I am going to roll the outro video. If you can stand by for a moment, Tamara, I appreciate you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so
for
much.
joining us. Hope this was helpful. Like, drop a comment. Let us know what you think. All right. We'll see you next time, y'all. Stand by.
Thanks.